What is going on, guys? My name is Seeds, and welcome to Feeds Mindset, episode number 16 with the wonderful RedHeadV1xen. Vix, how are you? Welcome in. I appreciate you being on.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm very appreciative of you being on. Something that I always like to highlight right at the gate, because you never know who's watching it, is that me and you were random people. Like, this is the first time that we've really ever talked. I mean, we've DM'd like a couple days ago, but as far as like talking, this is kind of the first. So how does that feel? Because that kind of stuff isn't normalized nowadays.
Yeah, so I'm a big introvert, so it was a little like I was like, but then I'm like, I'm also a streamer, so buck it up, Buckaroo, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, the reason why I do point that out is because it's not normalized, and a lot of people have problems, breaking that. So, I don't know, man. Like, if I can be somebody that you're like, if Feats can do it, I can do it. Yeah, like, all power to you. So yeah, this is episode 16. It is insane that we've had 16 guests. Again, I'm very appreciative of you being on. So obviously, I do want to get into who Vix is and your background and where you started from, but I do kind of want to set the tone a little bit for your community and anybody new. Who would you say, RedHeadV1xen is as of today? How would you describe yourself as a current day streamer, and you're a full-time streamer?
well, I as a streamer, I'm just me. I'm just having my fun time, doing my thing, grinding it out. Um, you know, making new friends. I mean, all of my friends are internet friends. I've made all of my friends through gaming. I don't even have IRL friends. It's hard because I'm a military spouse. Moving around, you make new friends here and
Yeah.
there. You lose them, you gain some, whatever. But your gaming friends are always there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm really the same way. I mean, aside from like family stuff, like I don't really have any in real life friends. I mean, I'd grown up in a very preppy school. It was not a private school, but it was on like the border of being like public and private. Like they had a lot of like things that they require for you to attend the school, and there's just a lot of kids that had money and a bunch of cars and wanted to go and party all the time and drink and do stuff, and it just wasn't for me. That's just not the kind of person I was back then. So I never really made any like good connections. I mean, I had friends like being in school, but like the moment that it was time to go home, like I was alone. So
I
yeah,
feel that.
I,
Yeah.
I definitely
College was
understand.
something. I had those days. College, it was just like, woo, party, yay! Actually did make some friends back home because it was like a little at-home college, and they're still around today. I'm moving back home. I'm really glad in the next few months, and I'll be able to see them again. But where I am now, I don't have any.
Yeah, no, and that's never a bad thing. I think it's a cooler outlook to have because you kind of get diversified in a whole new world because you do have to understand that, and now that's kind of your priority. So I think it's kind of it is a win-win situation, but depending on, I guess, your mindset and motivation, it could be a lose-lose. Because if you're somebody like, oh, like, I don't have any friends, nobody wants to hang out, like if you stay stuck in that mindset, like you're not going to get out of it. And
Yeah.
so I think it's kind of a happy medium because that is how things are, and like you're not going to get friends if you just sit there and upset that you have no friends. Like you need somebody.
Mhm.
Everybody needs somebody.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, definitely. So before we get back and travel back, I did also want to bring up the respawn recruits. You did make top 200. So I wanted to congratulate on that.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I would not be that far without, my community vouching for me. They've been an absolute blessing, amazing, always there for me. You can really feed out the real ones, and they've been just there. They're amazing. They've just
Yeah.
been so genuine.
Yeah, and I think that's the most like beautiful topic that I've seen about this. Even somebody like Frosty, I had him on quite a couple episodes ago, and just seeing not only the community that he's built, but it's cool to see everybody grinding for the same thing, and you're kind of seeing like communities come together. It's not just the fact that like you have your community supporting you. Like now that you're tapping into other respawn recruit creators, now you're like diversifying them to your community, and I think that's a beautiful thing for people to be able to grow.
Absolutely.
And the support has been massive. I mean, every single tweet just within like the first hour at least had like 20 likes, if not more, tons of comments and
Hmm.
stuff, and it's awesome. It's awesome, and I wish that the community could be more like this, but unfortunately it only really happens when there's kind of like something in it for everybody, and that's kind of the sad thing. But I think it is good to highlight it though, because after everything's done, regardless of what happens in the future, you not only do you gain more connections, but who's stuck around. I think
Mhm.
that's the more important topic because I feel like a lot of people just kind of venture off like once things are over. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, I'm gonna be really sad when it's over because I feel like, people are gonna fly away and some will stay and some won't, and it's gonna be really sad because I've made some like genuine friendships. I mean, Frosty, you were just talking about him. He did a podcast last night, I believe, with I think 3 or 4
Mm.
different creators from Respawn, and one of them mentioned me when they were talking about people to watch out for. They're like, "You need to watch out for RedHeadV1xen." I'm like, what? Excuse me? That was show Danny P. Absolutely adore and love that guy. He's
Yeah.
been really supportive since he, was looking around and he found my name. And, there's a couple other recruits in there that I genuinely love to death
Yeah,
that
and that's a big thing I was talking to Frosty about. We had talked a little bit off camera. Obviously, I'm not going to get into like any private conversations, but he was a little worried, because it was 250 at the time when me and him talked, and he was really worried. He's like, "Feeds." He's like, "I'm gonna be honest. I just don't think I'm getting into the top 200." And I'm like, "Why is that?" And he's like, "I've not really posted any content. Like, I'm kind of slacking on that side." And I was like, "Frosty," I was like, I mean, you're top 250 already for a reason, so they see something. And I was like, and that's kind of why he has like the whole title of like number one's, best supporter and stuff. Because I told him, I was like, yeah, like they want content and everything, but I mean, if they choose a creator that is solely focused on themselves and only content, they are going to choose you any other day because you don't want to have somebody that's selfish and in it for themselves. Because then when it comes to collabing and charity events and respawn stuff that they're going to do with their communities, they're going to know that you are not good to diversify to that community. And so I told Frosty, I was like, I'm not sitting here saying that you made it and trying to hype you up, but they see something and clearly you have, made a very supportive mark. And I feel like that is way more important. I feel like that's kind of a topic, like I said, I do kind of want to get into, who you are and where you came from and stuff. But that is a topic that I do want to talk about just a tad bit about normalizing that because, not a lot of people are supportive nowadays. They post their streams, they post their content, they go live, and most of them don't even rate out. And they're like, see you guys, appreciate the stream, have a good
Oh
day.
yeah,
You
I
know,
always tell people rate out. Like no matter big, small, doesn't matter. You rate out, like it's a part of networking too. Like, growing friendships is a part of networking.
yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like that term networking has only been used here recently. I feel like ever since just a little bit after COVID up to now, I've not really seen hardly many people network, and it's really, I think. I think something that I'm thankful about with this community is when Kick came in, because it's not the fact that they had their revenue splits and all their other, additives to add on to be a Kick streamer, but just the connections alone. I mean, when Kick started, when I, just like everybody else, transferring over, checking it out, seeing how it goes, I mean, that is the most supportive I've ever been on supported and supportive on a platform than anywhere else. And I think it brought a lot of good qualities out of people. And now there's so many humble streamers. I mean, if you look at my past guests, I mean, even you included, I mean, there's a lot of great, genuine Kick streamers that I just feel like you wouldn't have been able to find on Twitch. I mean, do you kind of feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. I've made more friends, genuine friends off of Kick, knowing that we're all in this together. Like it's not just one person against the world. I have seen the Kick community helping everybody out. And I'm so glad I'm a part of that, honestly, because it just literally feels like a family knowing that we're all there for each other at the end of the day. And even after we've helped each other like hit goals, we're still there for each other after those goals are hit. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
No,
I've never
definitely.
seen that in Twitch. But I've
Yeah.
only been on Twitch since 2020. Well, kind of. I didn't officially grind out any of my streams until January of this year.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really start taking Twitch seriously until I think around like 2021, and like, yeah, I mean, there's no comparison. I mean, I'm doing way better just being on Kick alone because there's genuine. I feel like that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of the biggest difference is there is people that's in it for the money incentives and stuff, but a lot of people that transferred to Kick just wanted a fresh start. It had nothing to really do with the money and everything. And I feel like that's kind of the biggest difference why there is such a battle between Twitch and Kick, because most people that are on Twitch either are A, uncomfortable and don't want to do it. B, they're afraid that their community are not going to follow them. Or C, they're just lazy and they don't really feel like it and they just want to stay on Twitch. I don't think console streaming has got out just yet. So anybody that is on console, they still are kind of restricted. I do kind of want to make that point for them because I know it's not their fault. But for other creators, I feel like there's a lot of them that just don't want to and don't care. And I feel like that, not like in like a mean way, but I feel like that's kind of helped Kick because, with all due respect, you don't want somebody like that on your platform. Somebody that don't care and that's just like, they can't even give themselves an opportunity. So how would they give a community an opportunity? Or, when's the next time they would do a giveaway or recognize somebody? Like when's the next time that kind of stuff would happen? Do you kind of feel the same way about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the whole console thing, I do believe there is a creator over on Kick who was using console at the time. His name is Novad. I'm a lurker, bro. I pay attention. Um, he was using console for a minute, and he's doing so well, dude. I am so proud of him. He's been amazing. He's been so genuine and sweet. I'm actually like amazed by him, and he just got a PC recently. So, and
Nice.
he's trying out Valorant. I love it. We bring that Valorant community into Kick, even though they're partnered with Twitch. I don't care. Like, we're gonna get them to see Valorant. Like,
Yeah, no,
it's
definitely.
amazing.
And on that topic of Valorant, is that what you would kind of say is your mainstream game, or are you kind of more variety?
So I call it Valriety because I do a lot of Val and a tad of variety. So
Yeah,
I am the
it's a
top
little
5
twist.
most watched female Valorant streamer on Kick right now,
Yeah.
and top 6 most watched female DBD streamer on Val or on Kick right now as well. And so my community is really to thank for that because the fact that they're watching me regardless of what I play is amazing. And so I really am about the Val space, but I'm also about variety. Like I
Yeah.
know it's hard to grow off of variety. At least on Twitch it was. I think it's a little bit better on
Yeah.
Kick. I think
Yeah,
people because
definitely.
everyone's so much more supportive, it's just been a lot better. But yeah, it's just great to see that. I love
Yeah.
using streams charts, so that's why I've been looking at all this stuff. I
Yeah.
think streams charts is
No,
amazing.
definitely. No, I mean that's sick and that's amazing, and I'm proud of you and the community that you built. And I think that is something to highlight on Twitch. That's something that made me really upsetting with Twitch because Twitch does have this integrated system in your Stream Manager tab where they will recommend you games to play and they will tell you what the view count is to the average people playing it. But the reason why I hate that is because they're forcing you to say, "Hey, I know your streams aren't doing well. If you want to play this Brotato game that you don't like, it will do a lot better than your Valorant shit stuff that you're putting out right now." And they kind of like really ego and like kind of humble you in like a disrespectful way. And that's something I never liked about Twitch because that was their way of saying, "Hey, you want to be a full-time streamer, whatever you want to do, fuck it. We don't care. Play this game. This game is a sick game. We're running ads on it all the time. Go check it out and you'll build a community right there." And it's like, there's a lot of streamers that's like, hell yeah, like, they hop on the trend or whatever. But then when you tap into those streamers, then you start noticing they're not happy. It's not fun. They're not laughing. They're like, oh, chat, can you help me out with this? I don't understand it. Like, nobody wants to watch that. And I think that's
Yeah,
so stupid.
yeah, exactly. I think it's the dumbest thing, and I'm just glad that having Kick, you can be yourself and you can play what you want to play, and
Yeah.
people are going to watch you. People are going to be there for you. People are going to watch you.
Yeah.
That's what they're
100%.
there for. They're there to watch you enjoy yourself and have fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest take specifically on that. Be yourself is such kind of like a bland thing that like a lot of people say, but a lot of people don't say it with meaning. And I feel like if you compare Twitch to Kick, I mean, I really feel like you can be yourself on Kick, and I feel like to be yourself on Twitch, I mean, even something simple like even vaping, not too long ago was starting to get banned, and people getting like just people living their lives and just being human with the decisions they make. I mean, that is absolutely pathetic that they can't be themselves in front of their community. Like that's so stupid.
I agree.
So
Absolutely. I completely agree.
so yeah, but I'm very appreciative again of you being on this podcast, being able to share that, and kind of I just wanted to highlight some thoughts and opinions and you as of current day, and I'm glad we've got all that established. So now let's kind of go back in time and let's think about long before RedHeadV1xen came to be. How did you get into gaming, and was there somebody that helped you get into streaming or anything?
So I started back. on the Nintendo 64 days. That was when I really first touched any sort of gaming system. I played this like skiing water skiing like
Yeah.
game or whatever. Um and I used to play it. My dad was the only one who had that little console. So whenever I went over to his house, I wanted to play it so bad. I was like, Dad, play it with me, blah blah blah. And then I got into GameCube and I absolutely love the GameCube and I wish I had a GameCube on me. And whenever I see people who have their little setups in the background and I see a GameCube, I'm like, oh my God, I do have a GameCube. I wish I had one. um and then I moved on to I didn't really play games after that for a while, and then, got into Xbox, and it was the Xbox 360 was the first Xbox I had,
Hmm.
and my stepfather at the time had this Call of Duty World at War, and
Mm.
I played zombies on that, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely loved COD after that. Wait for it. Um, I
I'm
wouldn't
waiting.
say I love it now, but yeah, and then, I played on his account. I played all the Black Ops, the OG, Black Ops 2, the Ghost, all that stuff. And then I ended up ending my COD journey really with 2019
Mhm.
Modern Warfare, which
Yeah.
shout out to Pickles. She has gotten me back into the love of that because she don't plays that often.
She loves that game
Um,
so much.
yeah, I love that game, and I'm so glad that she still plays it. Um, and yeah, it's just I haven't really liked the next few CODs. I didn't
Yeah.
like Cold War. My One of my friends bought it for me. I feel bad because I fucking hated it, and I was like, no, I'm done. Uninstall. And then next year they bought me the same friend bought me Vanguard, thinking I
Wow.
was gonna like it. Hated it. Absolutely uninstalled that. This new COD, it's better ish. Eh, Still, I've uninstalled it a couple times.
Yeah.
Although I did play Warzone the other day with Graves and Majin, and I did have a great time. It was a lot of fun.
That's good.
Um, so it's still installed for now,
Yeah.
but
There's some hope. I can just see the
there's
people that
hope.
enjoy your Warzone content like, yes, there's still hope.
There's still hope, and I'm really holding out for Modern Warfare 3. I want
Yeah.
it to feel like 2019. That's what I'm praying for, is how it feels like 2019. Um, But the reason I stopped really playing COD after a while and moved to Valorant was because my old PC was a pre-built, couldn't handle it at the time. It was
Mm.
my husband's old PC,
Mm.
and he passed it down to me. He wanted to see if I was gonna even like PC gaming, which I ended
Yeah.
up loving it. And I was a controller main. I used controller all the fucking time, and when I say I was committing to controller, I played Claw on that thing. And then I was like, I couldn't handle it anymore. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to play video games. I can't play COD on this PC anymore. So
Yeah.
I switched to Valorant, mouse and key only. And it got me into mouse and key. And now I can't touch a controller worth anything. Like I just can't. I don't know how to use it. I tried like a year ago and I was like, wow, this is no. Um,
Yeah.
and I fell in love with Val. I absolutely love Val. Um, I'm obsessed with it. I don't think I could ever stop playing Val as much as it makes me mad. And I sometimes say I hate this game. I love Val. This is the only game I don't think I've ever uninstalled.
Really.
Really, I've never uninstalled this game. I love this game. Um, and so that's where I'm at now. And then obviously I enjoy like the party games, like Pummel Party. I love Pummel Party. It feels just
Mhm.
like Mario Party, GameCube. Um, and I love scary games, DVD, Faz, all that stuff. So it's been a whirlwind of, those types of games, but Val has been my absolute love. And last year I got a Riot Buddy from
Oh,
a dev
really?
I met. Yeah, so my friend Core, she had gotten a dev in her chat who ended up giving her a buddy, and then she was kind enough to introduce him to me along with one of his friends who is also a Riot dev. And we all were like gaming really late one night, just having a good time, whatever, and then all of a sudden he just drops it in my thing and I cried. I I cried.
That's
I
sick.
was like, "Oh my god." I didn't even cry because I got a riot buddy. I cried because the reason he gave me the riot buddy is because he liked my energy. He liked
Yeah.
how like insane I was at the game. For being, I think was I plat or diamond at the time? I'm still plat. It's how it be. Um, and he was just impressed with how well I did, and he just liked how nice and like genuine I was in the game, and like how I wanted to make the Val community better. And so it's like I'm never gonna not hate Val like that. I'm just gonna love it forever. It's never gonna be a hate of mine.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there's definitely like a couple points along, your journey that I do want to bring up. But on that topic of, Rat Buddy, if you don't play Valorant at all, what the Rat Gun Buddy is it is a gun buddy that only a developer can give you. You can't compete for it, you can't buy it, you can't just level up, you can't get it on a battle pass, nothing. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up, not only to normalize that for whoever doesn't know Valorant, is because it's a lot more meaningful. Because what they've done, I feel like what they've done unexpectedly is they've created a story by just having a dumb little gun buddy that just trickles under your gun. And like most people look at it and not think nothing of it, but you get to any Valorant creator and they're like, "Oh, is that the right gun buddy? Can I have it? Can I have it? Sell your gun, sell your gun. Give it to
Every
me."
time.
And so the cool thing that I like about it is because it creates a backstory for the streamers, just like the wonderful story that you just told us, your friend Core that has her own story of how she got it and how she met him. It creates such a cool and unique experience, and I feel like that kind of is what makes our gaming space. That helps us give us our memories and our backstories, and just helps us be a more impactful streamer, and to kind of normalize things more, to know that you're heard, people do enjoy you, and now you have a little extra story, that something you're happy about and something you can explain to somebody. And I think that is really cool. So I did want to bring up, on the topic of Valorant, I'm assuming you played obviously other keyboard and mouse games since Valorant.
Yeah, so every game that I touch now is all keyboard and mouse. I do not use a controller at all
And,
anymore.
and you
I
said
have one
that,
somewhere,
and you
but
said Valorant was the first keyboard and mouse that you like transpired into. So
yeah.
the reason why I'm bringing this up is, on that topic, do you feel like getting into Valorant has helped your aim and your awareness being on keyboard and mouse, with Valorant being the first one you got into?
Absolutely. So I know people assume that it's a slower paced game, which it is not. If you are very fast with your util usage and your movement and your, aim and stuff like that, it can be very fast paced. But it teached me to know where my keybinds are, to know what I have to use, to know what I have to change, and it implemented into other games like COD and
Hmm.
like all the party games, DBD. I use DBD. You know how you like to juke
Hmm.
around
Yeah,
the
no,
little
I
pillars
understand.
and stuff like that. Yeah, the WASD, like it's like fluid now. I can do it like crazy. It's fun. I love it. And so being able to do that on mouse and key as opposed to controller, plus like the movement in Call of Duty as well with
Yeah.
a keyboard and mouse just feels a lot better than it would with a controller, even playing claw.
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. I fully agree. And I think, being on mouse and keyboard for me, like when I started getting into COD and ranked and stuff, like I started to learn how to snake on keyboard and mouse. And I was like,
Mm.
this is very rapid. You're like, I mean, depending on how like your fingers are set up, like I'm using my pinky, like bam, 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 like just to like go up and down, like to be able to check everything. And I kind of have the same story. I mean, I've explained this a tad bit on other podcasts, but I was kind of the same way. I mean, I was really big into BO4. The name feeds that I'd got, it came all the way from Call of Duty Ghost. Just to very quickly go over it, there's this clan called XGN, which was a community clan, and they invited me to join their team. It was a stupid, dumb team that went nowheres, and we didn't do nothing. But it was just a bunch of friends that would go and just play private matches and stuff, and just have a fun time. But it wasn't like a team. It was more just like a little clan. And one day, my gamer tag back then was Random Gamer. That was the name that I went by because I couldn't think of a name. And so,
Random gamer.
yeah, and so,
1, 2, 3.
so they had reached out to me and they're like, "Yo, like you're a sick player. We would love to have you on the team. To join this team, you have to 1v1 somebody." I was like, "Bet." I was like, "That's easy." And so I 1v1 and pooped on whoever the poor guy was back then. And they was like, "Okay, since you've won that, you can be a part of it, but you do have to change your name, but we'll pay for it. But you have to give us a name. You can't be XG and Random Gamer." And I was like, well, fuck. I was like, I don't know what to name myself. And so at the time, I was really invested into sniping and stuff, and that's just where I came up with feeds. I love sniping. I love people reacting to the shots that I would hit and seeing my name in the kill feed, tons of times. That was what I loved, and so that's kind of where feeds originated from. Fast forward, Black Ops 4 as a sniper and hitting clips and standards and stuff, Black Ops 4 really made the mark for me. That was like the peak COD as far as like clips and hitting 5-ons and 6-ons and quad feeds and stuff. That was the game that kind of established it for me. So I was really invested in that. And then when Cold War and Shitguard came out, I didn't like either games. I hated
Shitguard.
I hated both of them. I couldn't stand them. Everybody loved Cold War, and I feel like I was like one of the few people that was like
You're
in
not
the
alone,
back
I
of the
swear.
classroom, like fuck you, like leave me alone. And so what I'm thankful for is that that's when that's around the time when COVID had hit. And when COVID had hit, I live in Kentucky, so it was only about 3 or 4 months that we was off. It wasn't as long as some other states, but it gave me like $200 to $300 extra every week because of how high everything was for no reason. And so I used that to buy a pre-built, which allowed me to get into Valorant. And that was just at the time when Cold War had released. And I was like, this is boring. I don't know what to play. And then I got my PC, and then I got into Valorant. So reason why all this matters, transpiring into all that, playing Valorant through Cold War and Shitguard and stuff, and then getting up to the new COD that we're at today, Valorant really, really helped out my keyboard and mouse abilities, because when I played the new COD, there was, I don't know how familiar you are, but there was a lot of community events going around, like with sniping tournaments. There was a lot of them being hosted, 4v4s, hardpoint, search and destroy, competitive snipers, and it would just be a small like $20-$25 buy-in. You'd make a team of 4, and you would just show up in Discord at a certain time on a Saturday or Sunday. And I played in a ton of those, and that's how I made a lot of my connections. But the reason why that matters is because when I got into that, when I transpired from Valorant back into COD, and I was like, okay, like I'll try it out just to see, I've kind of ignored the last 2 CODs, and I was just hitting shots like it was nothing. I was hitting flicks like I'd been practicing forever. I'd been hitting quick scopes. I had been clutching in certain circumstances where you usually have to kind of like get trained up and practice a little to be prepared for that. And it was just amazing. And then when they had released ranked in Call of Duty, that's kind of where like my mark is as far as like the new COD right now, because I'm one of the only ranked snipers. Like I will go and ranked. I hit Diamond 1 by sniping only, and I'll go and I will snipe every single game. I don't pick up a red gun at all. I'll snipe, whether it's control, hardpoint, search and destroy, whatever map, I will always snipe. And I'll start doo-dooing on these kids that think that they're the next Scump or the next Crim and all these professional players that they're trying and striving to be, and they get knocked down by feeds with a sniper. And they're like, what the fuck? And it pisses them off. And it's provided me amazing content. But if it wasn't for Valorant, I just don't feel like I would be as skilled as I am today. So that's why I wanted to bring up, how you feel like keyboard and mouse has, helped your, keyboard and mouse journey. Because for me, I mean, it was everything as far as being a skillful player.
Literally everything. I also feel like I can spot ahead a lot better than I did before I touched mouse and key in Valorant.
Yeah, 100%. And I think
'Cause
another small topic too that I do want to bring up that I'm just now thinking about, because and even in past podcasts, I'm like keyboard and mouse, this, that, whatever, playing on a monitor. I'm just now thinking of this, like going from a TV to a small monitor. I mean, because that was around the time I was playing Black Ops 4. I was playing on this big like 50-inch TV, and that's how I would play.
so
And
sad.
you're like looking like this, like playing the damn game. And so when I had got my monitor, just like 2 hours in playing it, I had already hit like 4 or 5 clips, and I was like, my awareness is like through the roof now. Like I see and I notice everything. I do think that's kind of a big point. I mean, clearly you play on monitors now, being on PC. I mean, was there a time that you played on TV, and do you remember kind of the switch up going into monitors?
Yeah, so obviously I remember like, using the Nintendo consoles and stuff. I had to use my TV, and
Hmm.
then whatever, didn't play games for a while. And then I, moved to Germany with my husband. He was already over there for like a year, and I
Hmm.
was over in the States, and I finally moved over. Um, and he had Call of Duty, I think it's called World War II. I
Hmm.
think it's that one.
Hmm.
And we had this big 65-inch curved TV, and it was the only thing I could really do because I just moved there. I didn't really have any friends. We couldn't really do anything. Um, and he had to go out to like he was on like a rotation, so he was gone for a little bit.
Hmm.
And so that was the only thing I did was play on World War II on this big TV. And eventually he convinced me a monitor is better. We're gonna get you a monitor. And then I started using that, and I played like the other Call of Duties. I played the World War II. I played the Black Ops. Oh my God, is it four, five?
Probably 4.
One,
Because
probably.
Black Ops Cold War was technically 5, but they didn't add the number
Okay,
on
then
it.
it was 4. It was 4, yeah. And then 2019 on a monitor, and I was like, wow, this experience is so much better. But also, like, the language difference was a pain, but
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, it's bound to happen when you live in Europe. But just having that monitor, though, oh my God, the experience was so much better. Instead of me going
Yeah.
on my TV, or like sitting way back on my couch, crisscross applesauce, like, yeah, no, I'll
Yeah.
never go back to a TV. I
No,
can't.
that's sick, and like I said, I was just now thinking of that. I've never gave that the credibility that it deserves because it has changed the game 100%. I mean, I couldn't imagine what us gamers would be like if, like, let's say, just for whatever reason, monitors were never a thing, and you had to have 2 TVs and you had to
Oh
connect them with
God.
cables. Like, how crazy that would be. It'd be
I
insane.
can imagine the amount of lag and delay that would happen
Yeah.
too. It's just, I mean, I'm obsessed with my hertz as it is. Like, I need to
Yeah.
have my monitor, my gaming monitor is 165 hertz, and I still wish it was more, but I'm gonna take it
Yeah.
because it's better than a TV would ever be.
Yeah, no, definitely. So there's obviously a couple questions that I want to ask as far as current day, but I do kind of want to tap into your name and understand where Redhead Vixen kind of came from. So can you take me upon that backstory and help me understand?
So, oh, my husband, no, my husband's not gonna see this. It's fine. If he does, he doesn't care. Um, I'll just say he
Close your
doesn't
ears.
care.
Close your ears.
Close your ears. You don't hear anything. He's over there shouting at 2K anyway. It's fine. Um, he his okay. So a while ago, when I was dating my husband at the time, my mother-in-law did not like me
Hmm.
because I'm very open. I'm a very open person,
Hmm.
and I would tell her like it is, and she didn't like that. So um we kind of got married on the down low, little Romeo and
Mm.
Juliet kind of
Okay,
thing. And so from then on, whenever she heard about me or I got brought up into conversation because I'm the ex,
bro.
um she called me the red-headed vixen because she thought I was just this terrible person,
It's
and
crazy.
these names that she put on me that were definitely not true.
Yeah.
um Sorry, Susan, dude. I'm sorry. But so I took that name and I turned it into a joke, aka my name, because it's funny. And you gotta vibe with it, man. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta
No,
have a
I
little
mean
fun with the
100%.
names.
That's sick because it kind of gives it a whole new meaning. And I mean, shout out to Susan. That's
But
unfortunate, but
way to go, Susan. Thank you.
like realistically, that's kind of what life is. I mean, you're taking a struggle that you're given and something that you have to, because like it's a joke and it's your name now. But at the time, I'm sure it probably wasn't the coolest thing to hear at the time. But then
I
instead of
was like,
instead of taking that and being
damn.
like, man, like that's really rude, you was like, you know what? That's my name. What's going on, guys? Redhead Vixen. Thank you for popping in. Hope you're having a good day. It's like so that's cool. It's a cool backstory because you kind of jumped over that hurdle because I mean I'm sure especially at a family aspect. I mean I don't want to bring up a bunch of family topics, but I mean that had to be hard. I mean
Oh
100%.
yeah, it was something. And you're totally okay bringing that up. Everyone asks me where I get this name Redhead Vixen from, and I'm honest. I'm gonna tell them
Yeah.
where it came from. Like, it's funny. I love the story behind it. People are like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
crazy.
joking."
It makes for a good story though. Does
Mm.
it does it ever make your husband feel kind of awkward that that's your name?
I'm not really sure.
Really?
He's the one who recommended the name anyway, so he
Really?
can't be
Okay.
mad.
Never
Yeah, he
mind.
can't be mad.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, shout out to him and to Susan. I'm not giving her any sort of 10% for my name. She can. I'm not that big.
So I
Sorry.
seen you was making an LLC. What's that about? That's so funny. Yeah, I mean that's sick. That's a crazy way to get your name, and that's a really cool backstory. So yeah, so I'm really excited
Honestly.
that I've been able to kind of get to know you and understand where you came from and your awesome gaming background and stuff. So before we really get on to a couple topics before we end off here, when did streaming become a thing for you? So I mean, you've had gaming, you've been there for a while. Like we've talked about you playing all these games and how you got your name, but where did streaming fall into place where you just woke up one day and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna tap into this and try to build a community?
So I did initially start streaming back in 2020 when I first moved to the duty station I'm currently at.
Hmm.
Um, and it was on an Xbox through my laptop, and it was a mess, but it was a thing, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I still have the old clips. I should go through those honestly on my Twitch of just the really bad videos.
Yeah.
Um, and I tried it. I got into some communities. The actual first person I ever met via, that really supported me through all that
Mhm.
was Mango Butt. Her name is Mango Butt. Um that's her last name.
That's
And
cool.
she is a streamer over on Twitch and Kick. And I met her through an org called Daddy's Angels. It was an all girls little COD org or whatever. And she's still around. She is literally an OG. I absolutely love her. I would vouch for her any day. And she is kind of the one that encouraged me to get into this, and she's been like, "You go get it. You got this. Like you keep grinding, blah 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 blah." And I really look up to her in every way because of that. And so,
Yeah.
I did all that, and then I kind of really didn't commit to it. I fell off. I didn't really try. It was during my Twitch days or whatever, and
Mhm.
then this past year around December, just before January of this year,
Mhm.
I really got back into it when it was my birthday. And I did my birthday subathon and I joined in with my friend Neptune, Neppy we call him, because our birthday is literally a day apart. So we did a little co birthday subathon thing, and I realized then and there I was like, wow, I have gotten so much support and love from a lot of the people that I supported and, whatever, and gamed with. I'm going to commit to this. So during, after Christmas or whatever, and I've set goals for myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch to full time. I was also working as a tax expert
Mhm.
um, at the time for a while,
Mhm.
and my husband really supported. I just wanted to stream. That's what I love to do. I loved gaming. I loved streaming. um I loved making friends because of gaming. uh and he was like, if you do what makes you happy. Being that tax expert actually made me cry because the
Really?
training was terrible. If you Fun fact, don't ever do your taxes with TurboTax. They hire anybody. Half those people I did my training with don't know what they're talking about or doing. So if you're having to pay in for taxes, they're probably wrong. Go somewhere else. Um, so I quit that job. I was like, I'm done. I'm doing this full time. And that's when I committed. It was January of this year. I finally fully committed to full time streaming, full time
Nice.
content creating. And I have been, I would just say, I'm exhausting myself. I am putting all of myself into the streaming. I know when I'm about to burn out and I take my day off. Um, and then I keep going. I will never like give up, but streaming has been the love of my life purely since, that time frame. And I want to keep growing and I want to keep grinding for that. And so, I this is my, not only like my lively it's my livelihood. It's my
Yeah.
livelihood.
No, 100%.
It's the thing I want to do the most. And, my husband's been really just supportive of it. Um, my mom has been supportive of it. Uh my in-laws not so much, but it's been great having to do this and not have to worry about also going to work or whatever.
100%.
But this is where I fell in love,
Yeah.
knowing
No,
that I
definitely.
have people that can come in and love me for doing this and gaming and having fun with other people, like, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree, and I think that's a really big topic. And excuse me, I keep having to clear my voice for whatever reason. But that's a really big topic that doesn't get normalized because as we're growing up as kids, your mom and dad's always like, stay away from strangers on the internet. You're going to be a doctor, lawyer, go to college, all this kind of stuff. And I feel like so many people get really depressed because when they don't have a real strategy, they still kind of want to try to make somebody in their family proud, whatever their life circumstances. I mean, there's somebody that they're trying to impress and prove that, I am better. And I feel like, when, like for me, for example, like after I graduated high school, like 3 days after I graduated, being at a high school and being an adult, I went into adult life and I started working third shift at this hotel, and I worked there for like well over a year because my mom and dad couldn't afford community college, and I did not want to put myself in a situation of working like crazy and then going to job and then having no time to sleep. I didn't want to put myself through those struggles, and it wasn't that important to me. Um, so I definitely think that's something that should be normalized because a lot of people feel like, I don't have any plans, and they're like, what, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And a lot of them get really uncomfortable. Like, I don't really know. And it's like, so with streaming, you can kind of take that on. But like, I strive to be one of the best entertainers that I can be. I strive to build a community, and I strive to just make a change in somebody's day. And I think that is just very important. And I feel like it's kind of like a newfound, long-term goal, or, just job status. I can't think of like the right word, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah,
so,
absolutely.
and the other thing where you talk about your friend and you being a day apart, me and my fiance, we're both 24. Our birthday's in August, and she is like exactly a week older than me. Like, her birthday's on the 8th and mine's on the 15th. Um,
That's crazy because my husband and I are exactly a month apart.
really?
He was
That's
Yeah, he
crazy.
was born literally a month away from me. I was born in November, he was born in October, exact month. I was like,
That's
"That's
hilarious.
crazy."
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And whenever me and my fiance first got together, my dumbass always thought that I was the older one, so I would always make fun of her. And then I got humbled one day by her dad, and he's like, "You dumbass! Like you're younger." I was like, "Huh?" And it had clicked, and I was like, "Fuck!" I was
Dumbass.
like, "Man, like now I look dumb."
Now you're
So,
the baby. Does she call you the baby? She's
yeah,
like, "You're
yeah,
the
yeah,
baby
yeah.
now."
I tell her to fuck off. But yeah, but I love her to death, and that's amazing. So before we wrap off here, there is one more topic that we, did want to discuss and talk about, and that is a, something that you struggle with, which is RCD, which I believe I have it written down here is reading comprehension disorder. And you wanted
Mhm.
to talk about that a little bit and kind of spread awareness on that. So kind of enlighten me, how that affects you and what kind of awareness you want to bring on that.
So with RCD, it becomes very hard reading chat sometimes or reading anything in general. But I'll, focus on chat because obviously this is
Hmm.
about the streaming and content creating. Um, I could read a full sentence as easy as how I had told you I love cats, and I
Hmm.
would sit there and I'd go, what the fuck did I just read? I didn't even understand anything that was just read, and I have to read that
Hmm.
again. When I studied in high school, I went into a little like early learning program or whatever. Um, it was my first period. I had to go in there. They had to help me with my homework. They had to help me with my studying. But I had to, if I studied, I had to write down a definition or whatever. This is why I was good at math and science, apparently. Um, but history and English were hard. So I had to
Hmm.
write down things at least 10 times for it to register into my brain what I'm reading or what I'm trying to study.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. And this goes for the chat too. When somebody is typing, I will read it out loud. You'll hear me read it out loud. But then if you hear me give an answer like, oh, that's funny, but then my face is straight, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I'm it just didn't register, but
Hmm.
I'm sitting there if I sit there and go, you're gonna be like, "What is she doing?"
Yeah.
So, like, it'll come back to me. I'm working on it. I will go back into chat again, like, I like to go through my chat again and read it and be like, "Oh, yeah, so blah, blah, blah," and then I'll address it again. Um, but it's very hard for people, like, who have that kind of disorder, reading comprehension disorder, because we struggle. And I love interacting with my chat. I am very big on interacting with my chat. I think that you do not have to be good at a game to be a good streamer.
100%.
And, you know, so, interacting with my chat is just huge. So I will do everything I can to do that. I am very welcoming when it comes to people coming into my chat and wanting to talk. I'm also very positive when it comes to like lurking or whatever. I love my lurkers.
Hmm.
And so I just want people to know like there are people like me out there who also have that issue. So just be patient with them. Just know like we're trying our best. we're doing what we can. Um, but like if we're also like in the middle of a game too, like you can't just be over here like, I'm sorry that you didn't see my I don't know if you saw my question, but I don't know if you saw my message, but we'll see it. I promise we'll see it. We will go back through and see it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
We're
I
trying.
definitely, especially at a streamer perspective, I mean, I could never imagine that kind of world because, I mean, you must get, kind of ticked off pretty fast because it's not something that, is your fault. It's not the fact that you're not, reading these messages and comprehending it. And, I'm sure that probably does make you a little bit mad to an extent, somebody being like, hey, like, did you see my message? Like, I, spent a lot of time typing it out or whatever. So for other creators that, have that because that's something that I've not heard of, and I'm glad that we get to normalize it and stuff, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And clearly there's other people out there that probably do want to stream, and so what is your advice to them that struggle with that, and you're like, oh, like I don't want to make anybody mad, I don't want them to seem like I'm not going to care. I mean, what advice would you give to people who struggle with that?
Just be patient with people in your chat. I mean, I'm like I said before, I'm a very open book, and if I haven't, if somebody I know I've warned before keeps doing that, I'm gonna be like, hey, I've told you before, I have this issue. If you can't respect it, then I don't know what to tell you. I
Yeah,
can't help it. I'm trying my best. Move on
definitely.
if you don't like it. You know what I mean? Um, and then I'll just, you just be honest, like, but also be patient with people. Um, so, like I just had a brain fart. Look at
No,
that.
you're good. No, I
My
mean,
the
it's
question went right over my head. But yeah, no. So it can be overwhelming. It's going to
Mhm.
be overwhelming, but I promise you will get through it. And just reiterate people like, hey, I put a little command in my chat like exclamation point RCD. My mods will go in there sometimes. Core does it a lot. She'll go in there. She'll do exclamation point RCD when she notices. She reads me very well. She notices when I have a hard time reading something or like I completely go off subject.
Mhm.
Um, and she'll do it, and I'd be like, "Thank you, Core, guys." For anyone who doesn't know, because I'm doing this, read that, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
That's
No,
for anyone also
100%.
watching too, because some people like the lurkers, they don't like to, talk, they'll just watch. And so if they ever feel like they want to talk, they'll know this girl is going to have a hard time reading probably a couple of times. I'll be patient with her, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's an awesome thing to be able to normalize, and I feel like that is kind of something that isn't talked about a lot for streamer. Even with people that struggle with that. I mean, you do have a lot of additives that your chat box does allow you, and your bots and stuff to be able to kind of find better ways to help you. I mean, even if you don't have somebody to help you along the way. So the last question I usually do ask, for the woman community as well. I mean, like I said, I'm always going to say this on my podcast because I hate wording it like this, but I understand, kind of the world that we're in. So for women that are afraid to either have that issue or whatever else, maybe they just don't want to get into streaming. Maybe they don't have, the friends or connections or something, and they're afraid of, the backlash or what somebody's going to say. I mean, what advice would you give to women creators to try to help normalize to step out of their comfort zone and start collabing and start streaming and posting content?
Um, so I'm very much like if some weirdo were to come into my chat, I'm gonna address it
Hmm.
because I don't want girls to feel like they have to accept it, be quiet, and move on. I don't like that. I'm
Yeah.
not like that. I'm gonna address it. If someone comes in and goes, I had someone the other day say, "Can I suck on your toes?" I was like, "Can you suck on my dick?" No, fuck off. And I was like, also, do you know what the shape of Italy is? And then all the chat will be like, a boo. I'll be like, okay, bye. Um, and then I'll be like, listen, this is not what we accept in this chat, and
Yeah.
we're gonna pinpoint it because it's not acceptable, and no one is going to think that they can get away with it and think that we need to shut up because we're not. This is 2023. We are
Yeah.
not housewives. We aren't, this isn't the 1950s or 19 whatever, 1800s. We don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. Yeah.
address it. Don't sit there and take it. This isn't those old days anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree, and I think that's good advice to be able to give to them. And it's kind of like another thing for this podcast. I mean, I was telling you a little bit before about how on my Twitter page, for the podcast in general, that's why it does say guests followed, to find, not again, not to flex all the people that's been on the podcast, but to find all these like-minded creators. And whether you're a woman, whether you're just some dude, maybe you don't have a lot of friends, maybe you're a part of the LGBTQ community, whatever you identify as, whatever is going on in your life, they're right there. All the people that's followed on that page, and any guest that's been on this podcast, they are open-minded creators that would love to have you a part of their community and help build up your path and your journey to streaming and stuff. So always never feel afraid to speak up, and you have tons of people to connect with. And I feel like, and I say this to everybody, I mean, obviously you're your own success. I mean, the only reason why you've not started streaming or doing all these things is because you're the one holding yourself back. And as long as you can just break away from that first DM of being like, hey, how are you? Or however you want to word it. I bring the same thing, just like me and you. We was talking about it before. I bring it up all the time. We are completely random people. I don't know you at all. And
Exactly.
I struggled with that a little bit doing the podcast. I've wanted to do this podcast for a long time. And that was always my biggest fear. It was like, oh, like, I'm going to reach out to somebody, they're going to think that I'm a weirdo. They don't know me, especially for the women community. Like I said, I mean, I completely understand it. I get it through and through. There's a lot of weirdos and people you can't trust out there. And that was the same thing for my podcast. Any guest that's on, I don't know your full background. So I have to create content with like-minded creators, because I can't just allow anybody on the podcast, because just like you don't know me, I don't know you. And so that's kind of the big point that I do make through this podcast, is to normalize, that it is okay to reach out. The worst thing that somebody can say is no, and you're never going to know if you don't try. Do you have any thoughts and opinions, or just advice for people that struggle with being able to reach out and build connections?
I understand it's going to be very hard. It's very understanding, like being able to reach out, making those connections. But what I liked to do, Erin actually pointed this out to me in a private call the other day. She notices that I do have a wall put up when it comes to like getting close with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And um, if anybody can read those signs when it comes to that, like she could read me, try to make those people feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Make them know that you're a safe person to be around. You're a safe community to be around. Um, those kinds of things. And then those people that are struggling, sit there, watch, lurk if you have to. You don't have to talk. Research your
Mm-hmm.
streamers and stuff like that. Get to know them before you decide to really be open with them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's totally okay to be that way. And I am totally accepting of that kind of thing. Um, Especially when it comes to me and my community. If you have to sit there and you have to watch, you have to understand whether um my space and my community and me myself are good and good for you and safe, then that's fine. And I completely get it. And I applaud you for doing that. But I will, of course, reassure you, like, you're welcome to be in my chat. You're welcome. It's safe. Like, we'll take care of you. We don't put up with anything out of the ordinary, out of pocket,
Mm-hmm.
discriminatory wise. Like, we don't do that. And
Definitely.
you're more than welcome to, be you, and you're safe
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's kind of the ground basis for anybody new watching these podcasts. Is just something we try to normalize, is just be yourself. And I feel like that's such a phrase and a wording that nobody really takes to heart. Everybody takes it lightly. It's like, yeah, be yourself. Like, I don't really think that there's a lot of people that give that phrase like a lot of thought. Like, who am I? Like, what am I to your community or building my community, and I think that's a big thing, to take a step back and understand the kind of creator you want to be, and that you're striving to be. So I think all of that's very important. Well, Vix, I really appreciate your time being on here. The last question I ask everybody, do you have anything coming up that you're excited about to share with your community or anybody that doesn't know you?
I do have a couple of partnerships. I do have lined up. I'm ready. I'm really excited and ready to share it with you guys. Just getting a few things out of the
Mm-hmm.
way. Um, and I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of this podcast and be able to talk to you and get, a little bit of my story out. It was really great, having you, ask me these questions and stuff. I loved it. It was
Yeah.
great.
No, it's been an amazing time, and like I said, I'm very appreciative for your time to be able to talk here today. So to end everything off, do you have any last bit of advice or any last thing you'd want to say before we end off here?
Just keep, if you're a streamer or whatever, just keep grinding. Just keep doing you, keep trying new things, keep pushing, do your networking. That doesn't mean emote spamming. I don't believe in
Hmm.
that. Especially when you're live. We
Yeah.
can see those things. Um, be aware of what you say because people are watching. Um, things like that, just keep going, man. Like you're gonna get there. It's gonna be long, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be exhausting. I only get 4 hours of sleep because my child wakes up after I go to bed at 4 a.m. and wake up at 8
Hmm.
and got things to do as a mom. Um, it's gonna be exhausting. It's gonna be a lot of hard work, but I promise you're gonna see results and we'll see you and just keep going, man. Just keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every day's a new day, and you never know what can happen. I mean, some of people's greatest success is when they're at a really bad point in time and not feeling it, or don't have the time, or have a small little window, and you never know how big of a difference it can make. And I mean, hey, like if you have 30 minutes, you're not doing nothing, and instead of you complaining, saying, "Oh, I don't want to do it," like if you just do it, I mean, worst thing that can happen is what you expected. And I mean, what's the difference? It's still 30 minutes you had to create content. So definitely all important stuff. Vix, again, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being able to share your story and being on this podcast. You're a wonderful and aspiring creator, and I'm very grateful of the community that you have behind you and supports you. And definitely, anybody that's watching this podcast from your community needs to make sure that they, keep you in their corner, because you're definitely somebody to have. But I appreciate everybody being in here. Thank you so much for watching Feeds Mindset. This again has been episode 16. Stay tuned for 17 in the future, whenever that is, probably within a few hours. Who knows? This has been growing at a crazy rapid pace. But I appreciate,
crazy, honestly.
I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much for tapping in. Please check Vixen out below, right below her head, and in her bio is all her links and everything to check her out. Please go give her a check and tap into her when she's live. But yeah, guys, that is it. My name is Feeds, and I'm out, guys.